Hey everybody, Will here, and today we are testing out a number of propellers for the DJI Phantom. Now if you tuned into the last DJI video I did, you know we added a ton of weight to this Phantom, and now our battery life is actually down to about 4 minutes, which is just not good at all. Now a lot of that's going to be fixed in the next video when we actually address the battery setup of this thing. Right now I am using the stock battery setup, which includes a single 2200 milliamp battery, 3-cell battery. And just to give you an idea, the Phantom 2, the main difference between the Phantom 2 and the Phantom 1 is that the Phantom 2 has a 5200 milliamp battery, as well as all the other Phantoms that came after it. So the battery issue here is just an issue of it having too small of a battery, and that's going to be upgraded in the next one. But before we do that, we're going to look at some other ways to address the efficiency of the motors and hopefully increase our battery life, and that's going to be with some different propellers. On it right now are the original Phantom 1 propellers, which are 8-inch propellers, 8-inch plastic propellers, which is what I've been flying with mostly. And in addition to maybe not being the best, they also, in the last video I discovered, we're having some serious vibration issues to them. Now, just to show you again all the propellers that are going on here, there's a number of different sorts of shapes and sizes, some of which are advertised that they're designed for increased payloads, things like that. And for instance, here's the ones that come on the Phantom 2, which are obviously a different shape, but they're also 9-inch propellers versus the 8-inch propellers. And then we also have a bunch of carbon fiber propellers that I picked up from the various vendors that I was buying the other products from. And so hopefully amongst them we'll find one that's going to have less vibrations and hopefully be a little bit more efficient. Now part of the vibration issue isn't just the propeller itself, but also taking the step to balance the propellers. Now just to give you a quick crash course in balancing, that requires one of these guys, which is, this one in particular is a very cheap but very popular and well-reviewed little balancer. And basically how it works is it has this little spindle on here which kind of levitates between these two magnets, or not really levitates, but is held on by these two magnets on either end. And basically what you do is you pop it off, take off one of the pieces here, and then take your propeller and tighten it on there, much like you would fix it onto the plane. And then when it's nice and tight, you put it in there, and you can tell usually when you get them, I've already started balancing them, but usually when you get them, one side will dip straight down and hit the table. And that's what's going to just cause those really heavy vibrations when you're running the craft. So this one, as you can see, is getting pretty close to being balanced. What you would do is basically when a side goes down, you'd take something like a sanding sponge or some sandpaper, and you start to scrape off some material, and then keep doing that until you find it balanced. And there's different degrees to which you can do this. A lot of people also talk about hub balancing, which I can't really do with this little thing. If it were taller and it could do a full 360, you could start to balance the hub too. But one thing I'm just learning about propeller balancing, and it's kind of why I won't go too much into my technique right now, is pretty much everybody who's made a video about it has tons of people saying that's not how you do it. Some people don't even like to use sanding paper. Some people don't. Some people like to put like paint on it or tape. Some people are also telling me you shouldn't use carbon fibers at all because they're a little bit dangerous. If they hit something while they're spinning, they kind of shatter like glass, so you have to be careful with them. But we're going to test out these propellers and see how they perform, because I'm new to this too and I want to learn about this and how they work. So here are all our sets here, and I guess now we're just going to take them all and see how they fly. Before we get started, the old 8-inch Phantom 1 prop guards will need to be removed in order to accommodate some of the larger 9-inch props I'll be testing. I found the guards to be hugely helpful though, particularly with indoor flying, so I installed a set of 9-inch carbon fiber prop guards in their place. First, we have a brand new set of DJI 8045 props, the style that comes on the original Phantom 1. These can be had for $11 a set on Amazon, and to compare, they'll first be flown right out of the bag, and then again after being balanced. Next up, a set of Arris carbon fiber 8045s from hobbywing.com for $24. Same design and size as the stock Phantom 1 props, but in a much more rigid and light carbon fiber material. Then, a $16 set of 9047 props from an eBay carbon fiber dealer named Happy Choice 2009. These are essentially 9-inch versions of the 8-inch 8045s. then a set of knockoff Phantom 2 9443 style props from Amazon. These are one of the best-selling sets on Amazon and can be had for only $14. Unfortunately, due to the self-locking design, I'm unable to balance them with my existing rig. However, apparent scuff marks on the underside of some of the blades indicate they may already be balanced. Then another set of 9443s from eBay seller Happy Choice 2009, once again with the much more rigid carbon fiber construction, purchased for $20 a set. And finally, another pair of carbon fiber 9443s, this set purchased for $43 at Helipal.com. For over twice as much as the last pair, this set also came unbalanced. However, the construction is noticeably thinner, so much so that the ends of the props flex more similarly to the plastic sets. And a quick look on the scale reveals the more expensive set to be considerably lighter weight. The test will be carried out indoors to prevent wind from being a factor, gently nudging it towards the center of the room while flying in ATTI mode. Each prop will also be tested twice using two 2200 mAh Phantom batteries, with a separate third battery used to demonstrate maneuvering and commentary. Alright, this is battery 1, stock Phantom 1 propellers unbalanced. So these are the stock Phantom 1 props, unbalanced. And I think it's safe to assume there's a lot of people who are just buying these things, having a lot of fun with them, and just running the props and new props when they get new props unbalanced. So that's what's on here now, and that, as you can see, there's definitely a little bit of vibrations. Right now, especially if it sits in one place for a while, I notice the vibrations can really kick in and it can just really start to shake. You can see it with that gimbal and those isolation mounts just really kind of shaking there, and the drone kind of shaking around it. So I think that has something to do with probably them, a number of the props being slightly unbalanced and then kind of going into sync and just really causing kind of really shakiness to it. But I have a feeling that's what's causing that shaking video, especially if I were to go ahead and start really pushing it and trying to make it suddenly change directions. You can see as those motors really stress, it gets a little more shaky, and that's probably what's happening during flight. With a time of just over 4 minutes, the unbalanced Phantom 1 props are pretty disappointing. So I took them off and gave them a pass on the balancer. Unfortunately, the results of my second set of flight showed the exact same extreme vibrations, creating unusable footage and likely terrifying bystanders below. But did the balancing help our flight time? With an average increase of 15 seconds? No, not really. So I moved on to the carbon fiber version of the 8045s by Arris. These are the Arris 8045s. These are the exact same design that you just saw that came stock on the Phantom 1. Same size, same shape. And as you can see, something is not right with these propellers. Maybe it was my balancing. Everything seemed to be balanced, but as you can see, it's doing the exact same real harsh vibration things pretty much right after takeoff, far worse than the last ones. Yeah, this footage, you can see also the gimbal is not responding to the shakes well. It's just kind of losing its orientation constantly. Yeah, I would not fly with these. I'm not sure what's going on here. Definitely a different sound with these carbon fiber propellers too. It's a little bit higher pitched. And let's see. Seems about the same to me. No real change in how it responds. It is doing a little bit of a twist when I accelerate in a particular direction. Not too impressed with these.
And I was even less impressed with the time. Coming in at far less than even the unbalanced stock props, this set turned out to be a colossal waste of money. Here's hoping that its big brother, the 9047s from eBay, have some better luck.
These are the 9047s from eBay, and these are basically the Phantom 1 props, just slightly bigger, 9 inches instead of 8, and in carbon fiber as well. These are the propellers that I threw on the other day for that quick test, and noticed much better performance. Right now I'm seeing that too. I was seeing absolutely none of that high vibrations I was getting that was causing the problems with the cameras. On this one, everything looks pretty smooth. Also, I can tell it just seems to handle a lot sharper. It's just a lot more responsive, especially taking off going up seems to be a little bit faster. I'm really excited to see what the time on these propellers are going to be, because it definitely handles a lot better, and I'm certain the footage is going to be a lot better off of these.
The footage was better, and after buying me a full 50 seconds on my first battery, this happened. And a small chip on one of the blades kept me from setting a second time. So I moved on to the Counterfeit Phantom 2 props.
These are some knockoffs of the stock Phantom 2 self-tightening props. I decided to get them at the actually very last minute because I realized it was kind of a mistake not to have some version of the self-tightening props on here. And this particular version was one of the best-selling ones on Amazon. And I must say, so far, they seem to be one of the best. Definitely very smooth flying. There's a special tool you can use to balance the self-tightening props, and I do not have it. I think it's safe to say a lot of people who are buying this from Amazon are also not planning to balance them. But they appear to be balanced. So far I'm experiencing no vibrations whatsoever on these, at least none of those extreme vibrations that were causing the gimbal tap problems. In terms of performance, I would say it's somewhere in between the carbon fiber props and the stock plastic props. It seems to accelerate pretty well going up and down, but side to side it's a little bit soft like those stock Phantom plastic props.
For filming purposes, the softness may actually be a good thing, and after seeing the time that came in, I was impressed. Next up, a pair of carbon fiber Phantom 2 props.
So this is the eBay version of the Phantom 2 9443 props. Once again, these are just like the other props from the same vendor, the larger Phantom 1 style props. These seem to be working very well. No serious vibrations. Seems to be much more responsive than the plastic Phantom 2 props. I was noticing a little bit with this style, it has a little bit more of a slight wobble to it when it's kind of just hovering. I noticed it a little bit more than some of the others. It's a very light wobble that the gimbal actually compensates for very well, but otherwise just as good as the other carbon fiber set in my opinion. The very next set I'm about to do is exactly like this. The only difference being this is a thicker material, and these are much cheaper, so I'm really excited to see with these performing as well as these are, how that thinner material carbon fiber prop compares to this one with the same design.
And while this cheap set made for some smooth, responsive flying, it unfortunately fell a bit short of the plastic 9443s. And for the final test, the $40 9443s from Helipal.
All right, this is Helipal's version, the $44 or the $40 version of the Phantom 2 props, the 9-inch ones. And I really can't see too much of a difference from the other one. I can't see any difference from the other cheaper version. Looks about as smooth, it responds equally about the same. At this moment, I'm not quite sure it's worth about 3 times as much. Not really much else to say, except I guess we'll wait until the times come in. And with that, we see that the best time goes to the most expensive set, the 9443s from helipal.com. And apart from that, if we look at the final results, we'll see that the 9443s dominate all the top spots. They seem to be the best design in terms of battery life for these things. A lot of people say that switch to the Phantom 2 style props right away, and really that's what you have to do. I think there is a little bit of an honorable mention to be given to the 9047s. Not so much for filming because they were low in vibrations just like the 9443s I got, but the flight time was not good on these, but they were a little bit more aggressive in the flying. You can just go back and forth a little bit faster and accelerate a little bit faster. But for filming, that's actually probably a bad thing. So if you're just flying around for fun, these might be for you. But if you're filming, just skip right to the Phantom 2 style props. Now, the probably worst set of props I did was the 8045s from Arris, and these were actually the second most expensive set. They were, I think, about $25. And this is the second product that I bought from Arris, and both of them have been pretty disappointing. These were actually really terrible. I wouldn't really fly with them. They're probably gonna be just tossed in the trash. And the other thing that I have from them is the gimbal on here, the CM3000. Still having issues with that. You'll notice a few of the shots that I did from the drone were kind of angled sideways. It's having a horizontal hold problem. They have a new version that doesn't have that problem, but it seems like there's absolutely no fix for the one that I got, and I'm just out of luck. So I'm gonna go ahead and not recommend Arris anymore. Definitely try something else out. I just flew with a friend too who had the Zenmoose 3-axis gimbal, and it's so much smaller and lower profile than mine, and it just worked way better. It just looked amazing, the footage he was getting. So that might be one to look at, and there's plenty of other companies to check out, but just, I think, avoid Arris at this point. Apart from that, I would say the biggest surprise of the day goes to the Phantom 2 style 9443s from Amazon, the Counterfeit ones. Before you run out and buy them, know that they're actually really bad. I got incredibly lucky with the set that I have on here. The other ones that I tested, I got 2 more just to test them out before I recommended them, and I'm glad I did because they were awful, like even worse than the 8045s from Arris. They were just, I took it up and I had to immediately take it. It was kind of scary. There were people around and I just had to like drive it into the ground to not crash. I'm going to talk about that problem a little bit more detail in a follow-up video where I compare them directly to the genuine DJI products. And give you a final time for the genuine props. And I think at the end of the day, those are gonna be what I'm gonna be recommending. A couple of different reasons for that. One of them is going to be cost. They are going to be a little bit cheaper than the carbon fiber ones that were performing better. But On top of that, they're just much more durable. You'll notice that the 9047s I had only have one time going on because again, I had a little crash and that caused a little chip on it and I didn't want to give it a bad time. And then the Helipal versions too, sadly I had on there, and I walked by a table and one of the props hit the table, not hard, it was just like, kind of like that. And now it's got a big chip on it. And I think this prop is pretty much garbage now because this little chip right here. And that kind of sucks. These were expensive props. And to contrast this, I have now flown with these. These are the good pair of non-genuine DJI props. I've crashed it 3 or 4 times, serious crashes, over a dozen good flights, and you can see some grass stains on here. Apart from the stains and being discolored and everything, they are still pretty much flying like they were when they were new. So I think for a lot of people, this is just gonna be the much smarter buy for them. And I think carbon fiber definitely has its strengths. There's, I think once you're in a much heavier class of aircraft, you're gonna definitely want carbon fiber. But I think for this light aircraft here, I don't think that the strengths of carbon fiber really come into play. I think plastic's gonna be fine. So keep a lookout for that upcoming video though, because that's gonna give me the final verdict on that. I'm gonna put a link to the end of this video as well as in the video info to that, as well as in the video info, you're gonna find links to all of these props that I tested out. So check them out. And apart from that, that is going to be the end of this video. Coming up next on the DJI Phantom series, I'm going to be looking at battery life even more by upgrading the battery setup on this thing. Because the time is still not very good. It's much better, but still not very good. So we're gonna be working on that next, and until then, thanks for watching.